about how Arjuna should fight. And then because he's a Kshatriya, he should do. If he doesn't fight, that is sin, right? So we were seeing that. And also Krishna is slowly bringing Arjuna to the transcendental knowledge, which is the 4th chapter on transcendental knowledge. So these 6 chapters, the first 6 chapters about Karma Yoga. In 5th chapter, we'll see Karma Yoga action in Krishna consciousness. How a person in Krishna consciousness act, right? Everything in Krishna service. So Sloka 38. So we'll start with 38 today. Just few more slokas. I think we are done in this. So did we have a discussion on? So yeah, we'll get back to 30. Did we finish 38 or we need to do 38? We need to start with 39. Let's just unmute everyone. Yeah. We finished 38, right? Shraddha Mataji?
No, Mataji, we need to start from 38.
From 38, okay. Yeah, 38 is a breakout room discussion, so we'll keep it after like half an hour so that we get a break. So let me see. Okay, we'll start with 39 for that thing. Oh yeah, Shraddha Mataji should post the attendance link. Yeah. Okay. Avritvam jnanametanam jnanino nityavairina kamarupena kaunteya dushpurena nalena cha. Thus, the wise living entity's pure consciousness becomes covered by his eternal enemy in form of lust, which is never satisfied and which burns like fire. Right? So it's about lust. So previous sloka is also about that. We'll come to that towards the end of the class because that needs little discussion. So that's why. Okay. So just know that our eternal enemy. Why the lust is called as eternal enemy? Can someone be eternally your enemy? Why is lust considered as eternal enemy? Lust means what? Okay, first of all, what is the difference between lust and love? And why is lust considered our eternal enemy? Who can say? Yes, Shraddha Mataji.
Mataji, when we engage in the process of service for satisfying Krishna, then it is love. When we are engaged in our own sense gratification, then it is lust.
So why is lust called eternal enemy, Mataji?
Because I think we are eternally in the material world and it's stopping us to realize our position and our movement towards Krishna consciousness. So it is actually stopping us. Lust is a kind of a bondage which lures us away from the Krishna consciousness.
Okay. It's some people say that it's difficult to control lust. Yes, lust is very difficult to get out of. It's difficult to get rid of. Lust can bring us down at any time. Yes. And why did we come down, Pravina Matsi, after all? Why did we come down? What was the reason?
Lust only is the reason, Mataji. Because of desire only this
Yeah,
real world.
because we were lusty, no? We wanted to enjoy without Krishna. So we were lusty. We wanted to enjoy without Krishna. Right? So, yeah, and we want to see the Maya, or that means actually we want to enjoy without Krishna. So we had lusty desires. So Krishnendriya Triptivancha Tarana Prem, Atmendriya Triptivancha Tarana Kam. So if we try to satisfy our senses, it is Kam. But if we satisfy Krishna's senses, it is Prem, love. Okay, so lust and love, that's the difference. So lust is our eternal enemy because when we were in spiritual world, there is no lust. It's transcendental world. But we misused our minute independence and hence we started thinking to live without Krishna, and we were like lusty and we fell down. So what is the analogy Prabhupada gives? Fire is never extinguished by constant supply of fuel. Similarly, Someone continue the statement. Fire is never extinguished, right? The more you put fuel, it keeps burning. So similarly, what about our desires? Well, how is our desires? Yes, Prajesh Prabhu.
Mataji, like how much ever sense and gratification we do, like more the sense gratification we do, more we become like attached to it. So
Yes.
it's like it'll never get extinguished.
Yeah.
Desires.
So how do you end it?
By channeling our desires in the
Yes.
spiritual direction.
To Krishna's consciousness. Yes. So if the spiritual, all the desires are purified, because Prabhupada says only a stone cannot have desire. So everyone have desire, but it should be, your consciousness should be clear. So fire is never extinguished by constant supply of fuel. How much of a fuel you put, more the fire glows. Similarly, the more and more we have desires, the more and more it increases. It cannot stop. Indriyani manoput asyadishtanam uchyate etervimohyate esha jnanam avritya dehinam. The senses, the mind, the intelligence are sitting place of lust. Through them, lust covers the real knowledge of the living entity and bewilders him. So, lust is situated in the senses, mind, and intelligence. So we know the five horses: eyes, ears, nose, tongue, touch, the senses. So definitely senses are lusty. The eyes want to see cinemas, and ear want to hear some Bollywood music and all that. So that's the senses. And then the mind, definitely the mind also gives a lot of thought. Oh, let's go there, let's go here. And intelligence, the material intelligence is also lusty. I want that job, I want that car, and you have a lot of material things. So these are the places of where lust sit. So how do we control them? Rishikena Rishikesha Sevanam. So include your senses in Krishna service. That's the best way. Or as Prabhu said, redirect our desire towards Krishna, or purifies it, or keep Krishna in the center, let it gets purified. Then we can control. And Bhagavatam says, yes, Yatma Buddhi, Kotupe Tritatuke, Swadhi, Kalatra, Dishabhauma Ichidi, Yatirtha Buddhi, Sharilena Karpiche, Janisha, Vitnisha Sa Eva Gokara. A human being who identifies this body made up of the three elements with the self, who consider the byproduct of the body to be kingsman, who consider the land of birth worshipable, and who goes to a place of pilgrimage simply to take a bath, rather than meeting men of transcendent knowledge, is considered to be an ass or a cow. So someone who thinks, oh, this is my land. So just imagine terrorism is happening. So this person is thinking about the opposite country, this in so-called enemy country, and then he dies. So what will happen to him? What will happen to someone who, yes, Prajesh Prabhu? What will happen?
He will be born in the. He'll be born in the country.
The opposite country, no?
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah, he'll be born in the opposite country. But is it sure that he'll get a human form? Do you think he'll get a human form? Not necessary, no. Everyone says no, right? Why? Because he died in Tamoguna, right? He's thinking about the opposite country and dying. Just imagine the situation. You're thinking, oh, this is my country, this is my country, this is my country, and that is my enemy country. And you always think about that and die. Prabhupada says you'll be born in the opposite country. Okay, but not necessarily as a human, because you're dying in Tamoguna. You're trying to destroy the human beings in another country, or the eternal servants of Krishna, who is also your brothers. Krishna says he is our spiritual father. So in that way, they are also your brothers, and then you're trying to kill them. That's like in Tamoguna. So since you're in Tamoguna, you'll be born in like an animal in the opposite country. Just imagine how consciousness is purified. I mean, it's getting contaminated, right? It gets purified in Krishna consciousness. Tasmatvam indriyani ado niyamya paradarsha papanam prajahi enam jnana vijnana nashanam. Therefore, Arjuna, best of Bharatas, in the very beginning curbed this great symbol of lust. regulating the senses, and slay this destroyer of knowledge and self-realization. So what should we do first? We should destroy this lust. Okay. And how is that possible? By purifying the senses, right? So if senses are purified, the mind gets purified, spiritual intelligence comes, and then there is no lust. So lust has to be regulated by regulating the senses. And how do you regulate sense? Starting from tongue. Vacha vekam, manasa krodha vekam, jihva vekam, uttara pastha vekam. So first we need to control the tongue by eating Krishna Prasad and chanting the holy name. So if that is done, then lust is chanting. So lust is only a perverted reflection of love of God, which is natural for every living entity. But if one is educated in Krishna consciousness from the very beginning, that natural love of God cannot deteriorate into lust. So from any stage of life or from the time of understanding its urgency, one can begin regulating the senses in Krishna consciousness, devotional service of the Lord, and turn lust into love of Godhead, the highest perfectional stage of human life. So again, the difference is we have discussed this kama and prema, or lust and love, which is quoted in Chaitanya Charitamrita Adilila, chapter 4, verse 165. Atmendriya tripti vanja tara balika, Krishnendriya priti ichcha tara premanam. Atmendriya priti vanja, the desire to gratify one's own senses is kama or lust, but the desire to please the sense of Lord Krishna is prema or love. Krishnendriya priti ichcha tara premanam. So that is prema. Krishnendriya, if you try to satisfy Krishna senses, when you're chanting the holy name, when you're hearing Kirtan, you're actually satisfying Krishna senses because Krishna is in your heart as Paramatma and you're doing for Krishna when you're studying Bhagavad Gita, Swadhyaya and all. But if you want to satisfy your own senses, watching a movie, going to different places where there is no Krishna, then that is you're satisfying your sense, kama. So this kama is the one which causes bandhan or just hold us here. Indriyani parani ahur indriyeva paramana manasastu para buddhir yo buddhe parasastusha. So what is more greater? Mind is between the senses and intelligence. So you can see the body, the senses are superior, mind is still higher, intelligence is still higher, and the soul is the highest. So when you chant Hare Krishna, what happens is the soul is getting powerful. The working senses are superior to dull matter, mind is higher than senses, intelligence is higher than mind, and the soul is even higher than intelligence. So once you give the higher taste to the soul, then everything else gets controlled. So that is called param drishtva nivartande. That means the higher taste. So if therefore the soul is directly engaged with the supreme, naturally all other subordinates, intelligence, mind, senses will be automatically engaged. Evam buddhe param bhutva samsthabhyatmanam atmana jahi shastram mahabaho kama rupam durashatam. Thus, knowing oneself to be transcendent to the material senses, mind, and intelligence, O mighty Amdanjana, one should steady the mind by deliberate spiritual intelligence, Krishna consciousness. Thus, by spiritual strength, conquer this insatiable enemy known as lust. So, lust can be conquered by spiritual strength. Srila Prabhupada went to America in 60s, and whoever went to America at that time, they were just getting lost in Maya. Because whoever go to abroad, nowadays it's a passion to go abroad and study. Okay, fine, but if you could stay in your same culture, the Indian culture, the tradition and everything, fine. But then we completely gets changed. We go there, we try to imitate the Western culture, and everything, the Sanatana Dharma is destroyed. So, but then if you could maintain it, as Prabhupada was still wearing a dhoti kurta when he went, and even coming back, he was like that. So that means he was not changing. He, in fact, taught others how to be devotees, right? So, only by Krishna consciousness, spiritual strength can be controlled this lust. Otherwise, it's difficult for us. One may not give up work, prescribed duties all of a sudden, but gradually, by developing Krishna consciousness, one can be situated in a transcendental position without being influenced by the material senses and mind. By studying intelligence directed towards one's pure identity, this is sum total of this chapter. So what should we do is, we should direct our mind, senses and intelligence towards Krishna service. Okay. Now we'll discuss this about the karma, and then we'll go back to the breakout room. Okay. Now, I think some of you would have heard this story. Anyone knows the story? There was a king who gave charity. Yeah, Shraddha Mataji, just say the story so that others can tell the answer, okay?
Yes, Mataji. Mataji, there was a king who was doing charity, and he was offering some milk, or you can call it paisam, to everyone. Whoever was coming, especially to the Brahmanas. So all the Brahmanas were coming to the king, and he was offering, and his servants were making this paisam or the milk. So there was there was a snake which the vulture was carrying. The snake was the food of the vulture, and while this vulture was flying, the poison from the snake's mouth, the tooth, fell into that paisa, that milk bowl, and then the king's servants and all the soldiers gave that milk to the Brahmana, and the Brahmana died. So, so the another set of Brahmanas were walking towards the king's place to get the paisam or the kheer or the milk. So he said, we have heard that the king is distributing this paisam or the milk to everyone, and we have come to take that. Can you show us the way? The lady said, oh, you're going to that king, but he is the one who has been poisoning the Brahmana. Are you sure you want to go? So now the question here is that whom will this sin or the karma go to? Will it go to the king or the Brahmin or the snake or the vulture or the lady?
Yeah, so I think everyone knows the answer. I mean, we already know the thing. Kripa Mataji?
It'll go to the lady, Mataji. That's how karma works, you know. It's like when the lady starts speaking, she takes over all the bad karma, basically.
So
That's
what about,
how, you know, she...
Okay. Yeah, any other answer? What about the king who gave the milk and it was having poison and the Brahmana died, and there was a vulture who was carrying the snake. So it's actually snake who dropped the poison, na? Snake dropped the poison. Got the story? All of you understood the story? The king was giving charity to Brahmana, and the vulture was carrying a snake, and the snake was about to die. That dropped the poison onto the Brahmana's milk pot, and the Brahmana drank it and he died. So what about the snake and vulture? Yes, Prajesh Prabhu? Any idea? Got the question now? Understood the story?
Yes, Mataji. Yes, Mataji. It is the nature of the snake to have poison in its mouth, so it's not the mistake of the snake also. And the snake, it was trying to defend itself. So that time, and the vulture's food is snake, so it's not even the mistake of the vulture.
Even if it's their mistake, how will karma go to them? Does animal have karma?
No, they can't. They don't take up karma.
Yeah. So animals don't have karma, no? See, if a lion eats a deer or a tiger eats a deer, they doesn't have a karma. Why animals doesn't have a karma? Okay, I unmute everyone. Why animals doesn't have karma?
Because they have low consciousness, Mataji.
Yes, then low consciousness. Okay. So
and they are made as such. They're supposed to eat the other animals. Like even Lord Krishna's bird, which is Garuda, is supposed to eat snake.
Yes. What about others? Garuda, okay, accepted devotee, but what about others? And as Mataji said, he has low consciousness. So because they have a low consciousness, what they can do? Animals can't.
They can't really think.
They can't think.
They can't think.
They can't differentiate. Yes, they can't think which is right or wrong. They can't, like human beings can decide, can think and think, okay, it's wrong or right. You know, they can discriminate, but animals can't discriminate. And so, like if a human being, somebody is in soul is in a human form, and he did some mistakes, commits sinful activities, yes, because of that karma, that sin, he can go to an animal form. But in the animal form, whatever karma he's doing, there's no reactions coming because animals cannot differentiate. And once his karma is over, that whatever he did in the animal form, the karma is over in the, whatever karma he did in human form, and he become an animal. And once it's over, he comes back to human form. But during the animal form of life, there's no karma. So snake and vulture is completely excluded. And Brahmana, he is innocent. He didn't even know there is poison in it. Yeah, that is done. Like when Chaitanya Mahaprabhu went to Jarikan forest, Dule Dule Gaurachand, Hari Gunagai. So when Chaitanya Mahaprabhu went, he made all the animals also elevate. The consciousness was elevated to Krishna consciousness, that a deer was hugging a lion. So, or yeah, so that means he could convert everyone to Krishna consciousness. So that's why big Harinam Sankirtan is done. Okay, so Brahmana is excluded. King, he didn't even know. He was just giving the milk, and unknowingly the poison fell, right? So it's the lady. Yes, Mataji said, as Mataji said, she was unnecessarily criticizing the king, saying that, oh, the king has given the poison to the Brahmana. So Chitragupta was confused whom to give the karma. Finally, it went to the lady. So that means gossip also have karma. Okay, that's how the law of karma works. Okay, so let's go back to 38. So there's a small breakout room discussion. So you need to go through the purport of 38, which says the different degrees of lust that is covered. A fire is covered by smoke, as mirror is covered by dust, and embryo is covered by the womb. The living entity is similarly covered by different degrees of lust. Now, which living entity represents what? And you should also say any other types of classification also you saw in the purport. Okay, just go through the, maybe we can have just 2 breakout room. And then, yeah, just 5 minutes discussion. Which living entity is fire with smoke, or embryo in the womb, or mirror and the dust? And why do you say so? And what else? What are the different methods to overcome it? And you should also say what are the other classifications that's mentioned in the purport by Srila Prabhupada. 3.38. Okay, just 5 minutes discussion. So some will be in room 1. Oh no, nobody stays in room 1. Okay, we'll just make 3 rooms. Okay.